Hi, and welcome to the second day of the ABG Sundal Collier Investor Days. Today we're having 32 companies presenting at the dual track. My name is Jacob Lemke. I'm an equity research analyst here at ABG following the healthcare space, and I have the honor to present our first company, which is Enzymatica. So with that, I leave over the word to CEO Claes Ekstrand.
Thank you, Jakob. Very pleased to be here this morning to take you through three important things. A very brief introduction of myself, a presentation of the product, where we're going, but more importantly, as you will see on the next slide, the key pillars are in place for success. I'm actually very excited, having worked in this company for 5 years, because we are now at a very exciting place in our company's journey. We have a company that has an extraordinary purpose in that our barrier technology helps protect people against the air they breathe. We'll talk about that. I will share with you a product platform that today only has cold sign, but will have future line extensions. But more importantly, a product platform that you'll see that the consumers and our partners love. And then we have now built an organization, and any success is all about the people, and the people. And we have a very scalable business model. We have people in two places, one in Lund, where I'm sitting today, and then we have distinguished colleagues and scientists in Reykjavik, where the product was first developed and discovered. Next slide, please. A little bit about myself. I'm Danish by background, went to Swedish school for 5 years from 5 to 9, and have since left Denmark in 1989 and have worked in very, very different companies than the one I'm in today. Big pharma, big medical device in different roles, from sales, marketing to international leadership roles. And I'm really excited about being back in something that's small. There's a saying that says small is beautiful, and Enzymatica is small, definitely beautiful, and we have an exciting growth journey ahead. Next slide, please. So Enzymatica, in short, is we're based in Lund. We have a science office and production in Iceland. We produce barrier technology that includes marine enzymes developed from cod trypsin. And what's exciting about our product, even if we're having some challenging times like all companies today through the COVID, is that we actually have a product that supports the body's own defense against virus, which is very applicable today. More importantly, as you may know, we're in 30 markets today, and we have agreements for another 30 markets in which we'll be launching in the next couple of years. Next slide, please. Now, the reason I love this company from when I first started is the product actually works. I've never seen data like this before in my life, that the only product I've ever seen it with was an antidiarrheal product, Imodium, that you may know. But it's very rare that you see products like Colzyme, where 68% of the people, consumers, are satisfied or very satisfied with the product, where 88% said they will buy it again, and where 55% said they will definitely buy it within 6 months. Next slide, please. Now, how the product works is really threefold. It's glycerol spray with trypsin in the barrier. It traps the viruses. The trypsin deactivates the viruses, and it leaves a protective barrier at the back of your throat to prevent you from getting reinfected. Next slide, please. Now, let's spend a couple of minutes on this slide, because it's really, really important. So if you look at this slide and you see this small yellow bar, which is Sweden, and that's the market size of Sweden compared to the other markets to the left. The markets that are dark blue are markets that we have contracts for that we're in, and you can see that the market sizes here are quite big. In fact, the markets in which we're represented in US dollars is 20 billion, and we do the math all the time and sort of pinch ourselves and say, God, this is a big opportunity. We have 5.5% market share in Sweden. If we could even get half of that, you can see how big the opportunity is. Next slide, please. Importantly, following the MDD Class 3 recertification, we got some bigger partners getting very involved in the business, specifically Sanofi. And where you can see that we have products under Viral Protect with Starter. Sanofi has launched the product Serenol and Physiomir. And we have Shanghai Pharma signed up for China, where we're working on launch plans as we speak. So very exciting partners that actually do all the sales and marketing, which speaks to the next slide. Next slide, please. So we have a very scalable business model. I think one of the things that we may not have articulated very well in the past is that our distinguished partners are big healthcare companies, consumer healthcare companies that actually stand for all the marketing. So in-house, we have the science. We have very strong regulatory capabilities that make sure we get the product approved in the various markets with very strong claims. And our marketing team that validated the model in Sweden today provide consumer insight that our partners actually execute against. We don't have in-house manufacturing apart from making the trypsin. Everything else is outsourced to contract manufacturers in terms of bottling and filling. And as I said earlier, the distribution, sales, and marketing is actually paid for and managed by our partners in collaboration with us. And then as we move forward, we are looking at co-development on line extensions with our partners to make sure we get more than one product. Next slide, please. So at the end of 2020, we actually felt remarkably good and justifiably remarkably good as you look at this curve. Everything was in place. We were launching in many markets with Starter, and we're launching with Sanofi in Italy and France. So everything was in place, and then COVID happened. Next slide. So when COVID happened and people were asked to self-isolate, we basically lost 1.5 cold seasons. Next slide, please. So as you can see here, as good as we felt at the end of 2020, 2021 has been challenging in that people have been socially distancing, hygiene, and as I said earlier, 1.5 cold seasons basically disappeared. The good news as of yesterday and probably still is that we can see that the cold season is back, and we see that in our results today. Next slide, please. I won't dwell on the financials for 2021, apart from saying that they're obviously a lot less than in 2020 because of the loss of the cold season. And as we reported in Q3, the year-on-year comparisons are not very favorable against 2020, but similar to 2019. Next slide, please. So if we take a step back, and the reason that I'm so excited to have been appointed to CEO is that everything is still in place. Nothing has changed. We're introduced in the markets on the map here in dark blue, and we have contracts for many more markets that we'll be launching in 2022, 2023. Next slide, please. So what's also very important and is that we have great board, and we have great investors in the company. In that, even if it's been tough in 2021, we've just stuck to the plan. We have gotten patents granted, US, China, and Japan. We've continued to recruit the right people for the right roles. So we've extended the management team and hired more people at the next level down. We've scaled up the production facilities in Iceland, and we've spent a lot of time on putting together a very solid strategic plan that led the board to announce some ambitious financial targets. And I'll speak to the strategic plan and the financial targets in the next 2 slides. Next slide, please. So the strategic plan essentially hasn't really changed much. And it's very simple. It's 3 things, and everything simple is always good. So we're working on increasing our market shares in the markets we're already in. We have a great opportunity to expand into new geographies, and we're working on new product development to strengthen not only the ColdZyme foundations, but other potential product platforms. Next slide, please. So we came out about a month ago and said by 2026, we are very confident that we will have revenues and sales of more than 600 million SEK and an EBIT margin of more than 28%. Why do we believe that? We believe that the market is recovering. We've seen that. We have planned expansions in many more markets, and we know that we have a barrier solutions that we can expand on in various dosage forms on the ColdZyme and other new product categories. Next slide, please. So, in short, why is Enzymatica an exciting place to be? Why is Enzymatica a great place to invest? We have a groundbreaking product, as I said on one of the earlier slides, in very extraordinary consumer interest in the product, not just in terms of purchase interest, but actually people having tried it, wanting to buy it again and again. We have a global market that's worth about $20 billion US, and we have a 5.5% market share in Sweden. So the opportunity is obviously large, and we have a very scalable business model. We control everything, the whole part of the value chain. We have very strong consumer healthcare partners, and we will rapidly be expanding into other geographies. Thank you.
Okay. So we'll move on to the question and answer part. And if we start, as you said, you are new in the CEO position, but you have been with the company for quite some time. Should we expect you to sort of do anything differently when you lead the company?
I think we'll get better at executing faster, and simplify some of the decision-making processes, in that we know exactly what we need to do, now we just need to do it. So if anything, it'll be more speed of execution than anything.
Okay, and as you said, the last, let's say, 1.5 years has been very impacted by the pandemic for you. Obviously, sort of social distancing measures has suppressed the common cold. But I think this year we've actually seen quite the opposite when we looked at some communicable diseases, the RSV virus, for example. So just looking into sort of the cold season about to start here, hitting the more important months, what are you seeing, and what sort of expectations do you have for the upcoming season?
Yeah, so what two things. One is in Sweden we're clearly seeing a rebound. In Italy and some of the other markets we're seeing a rebound, but there will be a bit of a time lag in that. In some of the 30 markets in which we were launching 18 months ago, we sold in products for distribution. That's obviously, so there'll be a slight delay, 1 or 2 quarters from when everything, all the inventory has been cleared out. But so we look at everything else being equal, we see back to normal in terms of revenues, probably in Q2 as we burn through inventory with our partners.
And I know you've over the sort of past quarters talked a bit about the online channel. Maybe you can sort of expand on what sort of online channels you're selling your product through, and what sort of expectations you have on those going forward.
Yeah, so in my previous life we had great success on Amazon. So Amazon is obviously a very strong footprint, not as strong in Sweden, it's just being established, but Aktier is obviously strong in Sweden. I think, if my memory serves me right, 36% of our revenues today are actually sold online, and we think that will just continue as consumers have become more used to buying stuff online as part of the different purchase patterns during the pandemic.
And as you said, obviously another or maybe the most important channel for you is the pharmacy sales, and as you said, sort of a key strategic initiative for you is to increase your market share. Maybe you could just highlight sort of what sort of competition you're facing in the pharmacy, and what sort of initiatives you can do to increase your market share.
Sure. So I think the most important thing is to distinguish between Sweden, where we run the marketing ourselves, and then our partner markets, where our partners are driving the marketing and sales initiatives. So the most important thing that you can't do online is sampling. We have a product that lends itself to sampling because we know that once consumers have tried it, they will feel a difference to their lives. So sampling is super important, and we've demonstrated that with our partners in that the success we've had in Sweden. So continuous sampling. If you have a great product and you have an opportunity to sample it. The other thing is that we know that we have thanks to a new marketing or commercial director, we have some very strong in-house online capability in terms of targeting. So we're getting much more focused on targeting the right consumers. We know who wants to buy our products, which is much more effective doing online than on TV. So online advertising and sampling are the key things, at least in Sweden, where the product is established. In our partner markets, advertising to build brand awareness and trial, online activities and sampling.
Okay, and just a final question. Obviously, you have lots of strong partnerships in place, but maybe they haven't really had time to sort of take off. And if we perhaps look at the Sanofi partnership, what sort of expectations do you have there, and when do you expect it could start to contribute materially to sales?
In 2020, France and Italy contributed materially to sales, and the cold season happened. They're very committed to the product. In big corporations that I used to work in, there's nothing more important than having senior management sponsorship. So the head of consumer healthcare for Sanofi loves the product. The global category director loves the product. and in fact, the Italian launch on the seronal virus defense within Sanofi was the most successful cold launch I ever had. So we have consumers that love our product, and we have Sanofi that loves our product, which is a good place to be.
Okay, I think that was all the questions I had. I would like to thank all the watchers and thank you, Claes, for participating.
Thank you, and Jakob, låt oss träffas när det passar dig, så vi liksom lär varandra känna.
Ja.
Okej, tack.